Yes.
Kind of nice out there. It's sunny, and hopefully we'll get a little rain out of this too.
Yeah, what they say.
Yeah. All right. So in terms of the Highway Patrol's activity this last month of April, really isn't too much to report. In terms of collisions, there were 34 recorded traffic collisions to the Highway Patrol that we responded to. We investigated every one of those. There were 18 of those traffic collisions that were reported to have injuries involved. Most of them were just moderate to minor, nothing significant. There were no fatal traffic collisions for April. And again, this incorporates the 14 freeway as well, adjacent to Agua Dulce. So all the unincorporated streets and freeway. Of those 34 reported traffic collisions, 5 of them, after they were investigated, were determined to have DUI offenses involved. 2 of them, as a matter of fact, happened here on Agua Dulce Canyon Road. But 4 of those, the 2 included here in Agua Dulce, and 2 on, where else? 2 on, just some of the other roadways, were all solo vehicles. They were injuries, but they were injuries to the driver only, so no innocent victims injured out of that. And one of those DUI traffic collisions was property damage only. Somebody who decided to crash into some object, I can't remember what it was, drove home, and we happened to follow up with him at home and found out that he was drunk. So he was pulled out of his house and taken to jail instead. So I have some statistics for citations, citation activity. In the roadways that do not cover Sierra Highway and Agua Dulce Canyon Road proper, any of the other roads around Agua Dulce, there were a total of 8 maximum speed violations with 7 additional moving violations, so other offenses, either turning on a right-of-way or anything of that nature. There were 2 seatbelt violations as well. Specifically on Sierra Highway, there were 16 maximum speed violations, 3 other non-moving violations, and then 1 seatbelt violation. Nothing else to report at either Agua Dulce Canyon Road or Soledad Canyon. So, like I said, our activity was a little low arrests. There were 5 DUI arrests that were produced by our office. Again, 4 of those would involve the DUI crashes. So only 1 additional DUI arrest. Other than that, there were no other misdemeanors and no felonies for this month. I'd say it was a fairly quiet month for the most part. Traffic collisions related, it appeared to be on the average. Nothing spectacular, nothing unusual, no trends that we can see at this point. So I think we're faring quite well so far this year. It isn't too bad out here. So if there are any questions, I'll gladly answer them. Yes.
I'm sorry. On the Sierra High, you said that citations there were 8 speed with 7 additional
moving violations.
Moving violations, and there were 2 seatbelt.
Yes.
And on Sierra Highway particularly, there were, let me say, 16 maximum speed violations. Yeah, 3 other non-moving violations, and then 1 seatbelt. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other questions? No? All right, thank you.
Stephanie is off. She'll be off for quite some time. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, so I'll be the contact. And I'm Greg Hisel. I'm the local division chief. So I handle Station 81, which is in my area, all the way down to La Cañada Point Ridge, all the way to Kern County and over to Chatsworth. So, and just got promoted in April, so I'm new out here. I've been the actor for about 16 months. So, and thank you very much.
Are you a resident as well?
I'm not. I live in Ventura County.
Wow. we'll get it real to the game.
That's it. So for April, for emergency medical calls for April, we had 28 calls, which is a little higher volume than we normally have out there. We what they were. But April can see an increase, and so far it looks like we're still on track for the total for the year. We're at 87. So normally, like 2014, we were at 267 total for the year on just emergency medical calls. Last year, we only burned almost an acre in wildland, so that was pretty low. Of course, the years before that. Just a little bit about my background. I worked down in Canyon Country for about 10 years, and I worked as a battalion chief in Battalion 22. This was part of my area. So the wagon incident and all that, I was out on a lot of that stuff. So very familiar with the area out here and the operations. So how's your brush clearance coming along? So and how does it look? I mean, when you look at your grass right now and you look at your clearance and what you're doing, I can tell you that the live fuel moistures are very low. So generally at this time of year, we see live fuel moistures that are around 160%. So we graph that every year. Right now it's at about 80%, so it's half. And so we're significantly low. What does that mean though? What does 80% mean to you? When we get down to about somewhere in the neighborhood of the 60% range, the live fuel burns like it's dead. And so that means that our ability to contain a wildfire is significantly impacted. And that's what's happening right now. So as those levels drop, as we see them keep dropping, we put a little wind with it, a nice run on a fire, and it gets really hard for us to contain it when it burns like it's dead. The dead fuel is still dead. And so that's not, it changes a little bit, and we'll see the fuel stick go up and down. But our real indication is that. So for May, we're significant right now on that. And we're expected to have quite a fire season with this drought. So.
Yeah, what's been frustrating is every time you hit the weeds, I started even like in February, we get rain again and it comes back. So we love the rain, but the weeds this year happen sporadically. Right. Especially with the warm weather we got, that's like fertilizer for them,
Right.
So then they dried out, and now we're having another
Friday and
from the
Saturday.
last rain.
Yeah.
It was significant, it was 1.5 inches this one was
You're on your third cutting.
Yeah, exactly.
Every day.
Yeah, that's a problem, but we need that clearance, absolutely. So if you get that growth back, we need you to go back out and start cutting it down again. So that's the fire outlook, and if you have any questions, please call Station 81 and have them come out. They'll be more than happy to discuss it with you and come out. If you have any issues, beyond that, feel free to call my office, Stephanie, and we're more than happy to help you out. So,
and you're at the big fire station there by
Golden Valley, on Golden Valley Road, that's where the division office is.
Yeah. Beautiful station.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Really enjoyable to work there.
Yeah.
And then just lastly, we have approximately 52 people on the call. They've been doing search and rescue. They're part of the team, the urban search and rescue team that went over there. And they had a significant earthquake aftershock the other day, and everybody was okay. It was in a good position. Everybody was okay. So they continue to do extraordinary work over there. They've made some significant rescues while they're there. So hopefully they'll be coming home soon. They've been quite pleasant time. Any questions for me? Yes.
What do you do about, do you actually go through the neighborhood and see who has taken down their brush?
Yes.
And what about homes that have many, many dead trees on them? Are they required to?
Depends. Yeah, it depends on the tree, and we need to come out and meet the look at it. So obviously the pines have had some problems. They have a lot of dead growth in them, all throughout the county, not just. So that's been an issue, and we've seen a lot of people having to cut back their trees, especially when they impact other structures if they're near other structures.
I'm a local arborist, and I've seen numerous citations for trees to be removed, dead trees. So to answer your question, it does happen, absolutely. They get citations. That's not just for brush clearance or field modification. It's also for clearing dead trees, specific trees pointed out actually specifically. So
That's
you
right.
guys do that.
Yeah, and if you have a problem with the neighbor that's close to your property, we need to come out and we need to look at that. And we need to inspect it and make sure that the problem's taken care of. You get a notice, you get a brush clearance notice, and usually that goes out in April, and that's your first notice. And then we start doing our inspections in May, and usually we've completed our second inspections, that's what we call it, through the course of early June. And so we might hold off a little bit because of the upcoming rains, and get out a little later so you have a chance to go out and do that second or third, cut down. But all those, dead trees and everything else, if you need assistance from our forestry, we can reach out to them and have them come out and help you out, show you what's clear. What's real important is that the ladder fuels, so the brush leading into the trees, leading to the structure. We have to make sure that's minimized, and that's where we really get impacted.
You mean the weeds that catch the tree on fire?
That's
by
right.
catching
Yes.
the bottom of the tree, so your junipers lollipop them and get them off the ground.
Get them off the ground, that's right. We've got to get them lifted up because of those what we call our ladder fuels. And grass is on the base, we'll get that going, we'll burn up, and then it'll burn up, and where does it go? If it's close to the eaves of the structure, it gets the structure going. So, and then it starts carrying. So we need to make sure that all of that is cleared away as well. So it's more than just clearing the brush back from your home, and our inspection report gets into that a little bit deeper. So, any other questions?
We've already probably gone through multiple weed cuttings this year, but some of the weeds grow pretty slow, and then it gets to that area where you go, well, do I need to cut them back or not? Do you have any guidelines, like is it 2 inches, or where does it start to wick up more?
Yeah, usually bare ground, depending on your structure, depending on how close to a slope, but you get 30 feet bare ground, 70 feet, you get a little bit taller, 18 inches, and then, but it's all dependent on what your property looks like. If you're sitting right on the edge of a slope and,
You're on the upside of it.
yeah, that's a draw or chimney or something like that. You're going to want to have more clearance than what we're asking for just for your protection. And on the backside of that too, and for all of you that have lived through fires, I know you know what I'm talking about. The wagon was a good indication of how what the fire can do and how it burned and where it burned. And that was a significant fire. So.
When you're in a fire like that, like in 2007, where Agua Dulce Canyon and Sierra Highway meet, behind those hills back there, all that burned. And at our house, which is about half a mile from Sierra Highway and Agua Dulce Canyon, it was like raining embers,
Yeah.
And when I built my house in 2005, the vents that we put in were the type to prevent the embers from going in. And I thought that was kind of overkill. And the county required us to do that. And there was all kinds of embers hitting the roof.
Yeah.
And then in our metal, a portion of our, roof, it's got like plastic on it, on the gutters and all that, they're all burned. Holes through it. So I never thought that it's like that actual embers are flying through the air.
Right.
I never understood that until we put
You see it.
Yeah.
And that's where you get, the spot fires further on down. And that's, when the light fuel moistures get so low, the spot fires get carried.
Exactly.
So, any other questions?
Thank you, Greg, and congratulations on your official promotion.
Thank you.
Thank you for visiting.
Just a few things. The yard sale ordinance was continued on Tuesday till May 26th. I know I probably talked about that a couple times, but Supervisor Solis continued that for us. And the minimum wage ordinance is now, the contract for the studies has been signed and they're out doing the studies, and we don't expect that to be back to the board until sometime in June. So we won't hear any more about that. A couple other things. As you know, we've been working on the lack of water at Boca Canyon and the difficulties with the fish and game. There was an assembly bill before the Parks and Wildlife Committee that passed unanimously a few weeks ago. And that bill would amend the current California Fish and Game Code to allow the county to move forward with a project to restore the habitat there, so that that will then allow a place for the fishies, and then we can come in and fix the road. Last week, there was a bill, that same bill was in the Appropriations Committee, that flew in, and now it flew by, and now it's going to be on the Assembly floor. We don't have a date yet, so we're moving along legislatively at least. I'm glad to see a lot of people here tonight because I have things I want to give away. I was going to talk about high-speed rail, but I see Pam is here, so I'll do that with her. And I also see the hauled water initiative on your agenda for later too, so I'll just leave that for that. But I do have some tickets if anybody is interested, driving down to the Arboretum. If you've never been there, it's beautiful, and I encourage you all to go. But this is for a concert with Pat Boone, the Crystals, and Freddie Camp. If any of you are interested, I have free tickets, so let me know.
Awesome.
I also have a brochure I'll leave out front on things that are going on at the Ford Theater, which is down here in the Hollywood Bowl. So if any of you are interested, you can pick up a calendar for that. That's all I have.
How about the,
Oh, yes, Airlander.
Just-
Oh, the ride, yeah.
Have free tickets for this?
No. But that's coming up on the 31st.
31st?
Yeah, on the Tahoe, it's going to ride up into the Tahoe Ranch from the backside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's great.
so if any of you are so inclined, you can give a call.
I don't think they've never done that before. have they?
No, it's new, yeah, and it's supposed to be a beautiful ride. It's about 8 miles though.
Is that right? Wow, that'd be great.
So if you're not used to riding, it's 8 miles.
Thank you.
Hope everybody's doing okay. Rough couple of days.
Understand.
Let's see, a couple of things. I guess we had a successful movie filming last weekend.
That's what I hear.
So since he's not here, it must have been successful.
Yeah.
But that's all right, it went good, I was there.
Under control?
Under control, it's a good thing. And last month, we had basically 3 reports. The month before, we had 0, so it goes up and down. Well, but 3 is still very good. We had a vehicle theft and 1 domestic violence. That was also a drunken public arrest. Those kind of we work hand in hand sometimes. And we had 1 residence burglary that was unknown day or time. So that was, so it's a little quiet, so, which is good. And then I got a citizen call. They were kind of upset, I guess. They've been complaining about speeders on Garland Road, which is posted, I understand now, I think it's posted at 40.
I think so.
Yeah, well, he's apparently going much faster because one of them ran over and killed his dog and kept going. And then when he saw people follow him, he stopped at the end of the hill. If you hit an animal, you're still responsible. So I'm presently going to try to find out who the guy is, because at least they have a description. Apparently it works up there all the time. But yeah, and just so you know, if you hit an animal, you are responsible. It's just like an accident. And if you leave, it's still leaving the scene of an accident. So. But yeah.
Is that any domesticated animal?
It was a dog, yeah. And he was in the company of the owner riding horseback. He was wandered out into the street. So she said the guy never even slowed down. He just kept going. So if I can find him, we'll have a talk.
Okay. Great.
Let's see. Other than that, anybody have any questions? I'm trying to make it brief.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Perfect. Great.
Well, what type of vehicle is it? What type of vehicle? It doesn't say. Fortunately, at the time that they wrote this, it says multi-wheel vehicle on it, so that must have been a quad.
Where was it?
is not, so it says on, oh, Sierra Highway.
Sierra.
So someplace on Sierra Highway, there's no cross street, so
Okay.
means, but the time this was published, the report was still probably going through the system, so they only take the number and the first street, so.
Okay.
But, yeah, it looks like it was taken from there, so.
Okay.
All right.
So we find out.
And I know it's not kind of close to here, but I guess they had an airlift on Saturday at Roar Flats, and a motorcycle went over.
Oh, really?
And I guess he's okay, but fire department flew up and picked him up and took him out. And so, and if anybody missed Fire Service Day at Fire Station 129, it was great.
Yeah? You enjoyed that, weren't you?
No.
Very good.
I just had the Sheriff Search and Rescue and Explorer mounted booth in the corner, so,
It turned out good.
but it was good.
Good.
So, other than that, yes, ma'am.
Question, are we to call you if we need to report disturbance at a private residence
You have to call the station,
station?
because I'm not on all the time. Palmdale. Yeah, it depends, where do you live?
Right here in town.
Okay, if you're in town, yeah, it's Palmdale Station, because if I'm not on, what happens, it goes, rotates to a voice machine that then downloads to the computer, and then I pick it up if I'm plugged in. Except, I have to say, thanks to the county IT system, they're migrating everything to a cloud. So they killed my email last week and I had gotten nothing. I had to go into the station and log in, and I picked up 42 messages the other day because nothing shows up. And they go, oh yeah, you're getting migrated on Monday. We forgot to tell you, sir. So, I don't know how many messages I have today. Yeah, they're supposedly going to fix that issue. So, yeah, it's better to call the station, and then if I'm on, they'll send it to me. And if the other units are on, because they do have an extra county unit here during the day. You may have seen 3 cars running around sometimes. So they have an extra county unit, the one that's assigned out here with me regularly, so there's 3 on days, and then they have 2 at night.
Okay.
So they have more units out floating around. So
they can respond quicker than.
yeah, quicker than, yeah, that's the goal. So, all right? Okay.
I just have a question. There was a lot of police activity on the corner of Sierra Highway and Wise a few nights ago.
On Wise?
Corner,
Oh, I know where
between Wise and the lane.
Okay.
A lot of black and whites and lights. I know my nephew was coming home and was worried he couldn't.
You know, I looked that up and I can't remember what it was.
Oh.
I'll find out. Yeah, I know they had something here at night. I think they were following somebody from Palmdale, but I can't quite look it
There
up.
was something at a house because they told everybody to stay inside and they were announcing, come out with your hands up. My daughter's good friend lives at the end of the road. And her
Remember what exactly?
I want to say like last Wednesday or
Last Wednesday?
Thursday, somewhere in there,
Okay.
like between 10 and midnight maybe.
10 to midnight? I could look that up.
Okay.
I'll get back to you before the end. I'll run out there and look it up. One last question.
One of the reasons for the question about calling Palmdale was that a group of us are here tonight because we've got a noise complaint about someone that's having basically, paid admission concerts on Sundays.
On Sunday.
They did it Sunday all day long.
Not just Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, almost every weekend now.
Almost every weekend.
Where is it? Sierra Highway?
Anybody.
No, it's
would
on
have to
Harbor Road,
approach
right
it.
behind us
I mean,
here.
it's
I
so
mean, it's
loud.
staged, they have stages, seats, it's
Yeah,
a concert in this yard. Saturday and Sunday.
And by the way, the law is there is no such thing as being quiet between 10 at night and 6 in the morning. So if you've heard that, there is no law. The law is whatever disturbs a reasonable person's peace any time. So it could be 2 in the afternoon, it could be 10 in the morning. So
Well,
if you can't hear your
Still definitely
TV,
qualified.
yeah, if you can't hear your TV in your house with your windows closed, you better call.
Yeah.
And they will send a car out because the county site is very expensive for noisy parties. You can shut them down all the time. So yeah, if they're partying, then the thing is if they're running a paid party with admission, they better have the CUP to do that because that's running a business.
Yeah, and we're sure that's not the case.
Yeah. So yeah, call the Palmdale station because at night the cars will come out.
It's not,
Well, even in the afternoon, call. If it's that noisy,
5 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'll do is, before you go home, I'll get the address from you, where it is, and I will make a visit and let them know.
It's not the owners that live there too, by the way. It's not, I don't know where the owners are.
That's okay.
There's like 6 families that live in the yard. But, well, I mean, it's a yard to me. It's sitting on the property.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'll get the address and we'll
Yeah,
take a look at it.
Yeah.
There may be other violations, zoning or whatever.
All the other violations are quiet.
We'll take a look at that. Sir.
If they're waiting for someone to show up or someone else, is it any of any value if they videotape anything?
Yes, videotaping does work.
Take pictures.
Take pictures, because
verify.
videotape is admissible in court.
Okay.
Because a lot of times, I know as a side, people who have complained about like motorcycles being noisy,
Yep.
well, I can't be the complainant on it. Whoever the homeowner is saying, hey, they're doing excessive noise and dust, and if you want to complain, you have to sign the ticket with me saying, I'm the one who's prosecuting. You have to be the one to go to court and see the judge. However, I've written three of those up here in the last few years, and every one of them has been thrown out of court. Why? Because the judge says, well, what do you define to be what you think is excessive? Well, they were riding around for 20 minutes and there was dust. Okay, where's your photographic proof? Well, I didn't take any pictures. Guy goes, oh, I only rode for 10 minutes and I hosed it down before and I hosed it down after. Okay, dismissed. So videotape works wonders, because I know we did have one where there was a videotape and there was actual, the judge looked at that and goes, you can't even, and it's from your window across the street and I can't even see it.
Yeah.
Okay, that to me is excessive.
Okay.
And that was, that did that one in 2009. That one stuck.
Okay.
So
So the more evidence you
the
can
more
build.
evidence you have, the better it is.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Oh, and I have to apologize for being late, but we gave somebody a new home, and it just, it was a parolee who, information was given to me that he may be involved in a vehicle theft, and said I knew nothing about it except the stereo, the tools, the clothes from the car were all in his car. Fantastic. So
Thank you for taking care of that.
Thank you. Appreciate
he's
it.
now will be a guest of us for quite a while. So
Okay. Appreciate it.
we tried.
I saw that thing up in the hardware store this morning. And, I talked to you, I guess my only real concern is, my gut feeling is financially it doesn't make sense for somebody to spend $500,000 to $800,000 on a piece of property. Because I know a number of dog facilities in town, and it's interesting that they mention, M&A too, because the facilities that are, on the west side or in the valley, they're in commercial areas where there are no people at night, or if they are, they're sleeping in their car. At the end of the day, the sounds don't matter in those areas. It's, we talked about it for a minute, you're only talking the use of 1 or 2% of a 2.5-acre parcel for what would hold 3,200 square feet for those dogs. But the sound, we have, between your house and mine, we got 15 coyotes, and we can hear them all night long. So, I hope you guys push hard on the sound factor, because we don't have a high decibel level of ambient noise here. And that's the big difference. Every time this county or city come up with an idea, they drive past our place. They see a lot of acreage, but they don't live here and they don't understand
Sound carries
where the sound is. They don't understand when this place fails, there's going to be 50 to 100 dogs let loose. We've got people with 1 or 2 horses that they don't know what to do with downtown. And, that's the issue, is what happens with those dogs when it doesn't work. Most of those places in town, they're actually places that board animals for feed, do a lot of daycare and grooming, and then their kennels are just attached right off in a very small portion of the facility. Maybe 5 dogs, 15 dogs, out of a total of 50 or 60 that are there. They're not living as residents. So I'd be real interested in what kind of facility, the restriction on what kind of facility too. was pretty well, I was looking for a corgi, and I went online to find out, a corgi. There's maybe 100 of them available in the country. They're a couple $1,000 a piece. So at the end of the day, where are these dogs coming from except for rescues?
Joanne Swanson. This A2 thing is a big deal. You know, I was under the impression with the new standards where it says the limit of dogs on all agricultural property is at the scale and up to the max of whatever, 5 or 6. But the county, it was my impression that our standards, newly adopted, would trump this new ordinance. It just says there's this many dogs allowed in all agricultural zones. So I called this Larry Warmeo, and he spoke to somebody and said, no, those are personal dogs, so it doesn't count.
Those are pets.
Person. Well, there was some discussion on how the standards, you negotiated the standards, and there's some discussion with regional planning that it was your intent to limit personal dogs, put a limit on personal dogs. I said, oh, so what you're talking about, commercial dogs? Dogs are dogs. It's dogs. And it says all agricultural zones, the max is dogs. So, I said, did county council tell you that, or is this just your next up boss? And he didn't say. But there's a lot of A2 in Agua Dulce. The last street of Larwin north is all A2. Probably when you go up, Asher Ranch is A2. When you go down Davenport, everything Wagon Wheel, Davenport, the industrial area, over about up to Sierra Highway is A2. The Pole Prouty project is A2, and those are all going to be 2-acre lots that could all have potentially.
Which project?
The Prouty project?
Casulas.
Casulas?
Is that A2?
That's A2.
I don't think that's.
It's A2.
You positive?
I'm positive.
Okay, wow, that's alarming.
It's a lot. And if you go up Anthony Road, just a bit up Anthony Road, just before Pat Means' place, all of that north, Shallow, the next one over, Shallow Creek, or that's all. Yeah, but even the next one over, what's that? Something
Shallow Creek.
Shallow Creek. And that's all A2.
And back on Hierba,
Above Hierba
it's all
is all of that is A2. And it's funny because it seems like where Agua Dulce started in the main part of town, it's it's more dense and everything is A1, but it's just the bigger pieces that are left. Plus, it's strange. Part of Sierra Colony is A2. When you first go in, the houses on the right. Now, not all of them, but some of them that go down into Yucca Hills, that's all A2. And there's they may have CC&Rs that may, preclude that. But, I don't know, it's a mess. The whole A2 thing is a mess. We've got, as a matter of fact, the Casulas, that's A2H, which is for hog ranches. So that's what it used to be. So nothing has really changed over these years. That was a hog ranch in the 50s, and that's the way it's still zoned. So it's going to be a problem because they feel that this is permitted already, frankly. That they're just trying to make this consistent with animal regulations and this and that, which, we've had a few kennels here that have had, huge problems. And I don't think Antonis' office is going to particularly want to start a firestorm with people, especially when our intent with the standards was to limit dogs. Maybe not cats, they're quieter, but certainly with dogs, I think that was our intent. None of us have a degree in land use and planning, even though many of us have tried to learn as much as we can. So I think it's regional planning's responsibility to have the director of regional planning write a letter, a note with our standards to interpret that particular issue and say that it was the intent of the people to limit dogs, which it was.
Actually, it was to limit personal dogs.
So you're saying that you wanted kennel?
No, we didn't address kennels.
But I think that was their problem to help us and help the people negotiating to find out what, they say, we got this other issue in A1, there are kennels now, granted there's no breeding, which they're proposing in this, but there are kennels in A1 right now.
And they're gonna have to figure that out, but our intent with this.
No, wait, are there kennels in A1 or is it just A2?
It's just A2. It's a permitted use in A2.
Yeah.
In A1, you have to get a CUP to get a kennel. A2.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember if in that cheat sheet they have to count if it says it or not. I think I've got it on my computer.
But my big concern with this is that our minimum lot size is 2.5 acres.
Right.
And this is the perfect example of urban planners planning for rural.
Right.
They don't get it.
No, they don't get it.
In my mind, and this is the first that they've ever put limits based on lot size. And in my mind, if you've got 100 dogs and cats, you need to have A2 property and you need to have 20 acres.
Yeah, it should be a big commercial venture. Yeah, it should be a commercial type zone.
If you've got 50 dogs, you need to have 10 acres.
At least.
Well, I think that's too much. I mean, that's a lot. That's really going to impact the whole community. Unless there was some restriction that they had to be kept inside at night.
In principle, you're in agreement, but it's just a number issue.
Well, because again, getting back to the ambient noise, we all hear everything around here, and I think it will shock people to have to listen to that.
Right, but I think because it's coming from the urban planners, they think 2.5 acres is huge.
Yeah.
Right. They don't get that.
Right.
But this will affect our community in a bad way.
Oh, it's going to set up huge wars between neighbors like you wouldn't believe. And a lot of people decide they're going to start a non-profit and take in rescue and then get donations and then they get to live in the house and live off everybody the kindness of the people, sending in money. There's a lot of places that's very attractive to do. We used to have a cat one in our town, the street of Tyndall, and you had one near you. And the cat thing wasn't terribly noisy, but
We have the biggest one in the world, Delta Rescue. 2,000 dogs, 800 cats.
Where is that?
Delta.
Oh, in Acton.
Well, also here in Agua Dulce.
Yeah.
If you think that music is loud at the end of your road, wait till you hear 100 dogs.
I promise.
Yeah, I used to live up Tyndall. But anyway, the thing is, there's a lot of A2 property, and there's a lot of property that people are just not aware of it. How they can get
In my mind, anybody who wants to do 100 dogs and cats needs to have a conditional use permit regardless.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly, Mary. That's not something that should be normally allowed somewhere. That's where you go to have 100 dogs.
Right.
That should
You're
not
going to go
be.
through the process and it's going to cost you a little money.
Well, at least then you're getting the consent of the neighbors,
Right.
that's fine. If all the neighbors say it's fine.
And then you end up with a public hearing and all the rest of that stuff. But it's hard to get people to buy. They'll come in and buy a piece of property and they'll look at the zoning. And you gotta make it clear, because it's not fair to have somebody buy some zoning that they think is gonna allow them to do certain things, and they're gonna end up in that,
Like the lady that was just here.
Exactly.
Exactly. She assumed.
I mean, she's gonna be subject to a public hearing and all sorts of things,
And she didn't assume anything. It was already being done there, and she wanted to come to the town and say,
Yeah.
is that okay?
Right.
She hasn't assumed anything.
But it's
There's
nice for
actually
people
the
to
opposite
know.
of that. They wanted to make sure it was okay, yeah.
Right.
It's good for people to know it's only fair to let people know, what's going on. But to me, it's like the problem we've always had with this agricultural zoning, because we really are not crop and row, and we don't have fruit stands out on the street. We need kind of like a ranch zoning or something. It just doesn't seem to fit, and never has, and we just keep getting surprised by these things. So I kind of
Where's
think
the
we
water
should.
for agriculture out there?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But I think we need help from regional planning. I think we should try and put it on them to say, look, we've been trying to do a standards district. It's no different than any developer that would want to develop land. They can put all sorts of restrictions on. As a people, we've tried to come together and be reasonable on what uses should be. And I think we should say, we need some exceptions to this, because this is not going to work for us. It's going to be bad. Bad. And that's,
Thank you.
Applin, and I live off of Darling. And I put up those notes, Bill, because Joanne and I just read this and we couldn't believe it. You know, we live in this little hamlet that I think is, Joanne is right, LA County doesn't understand. We're not out in the woods. It's not just like raw, empty land. It's a community. It's a tight-knit community. It's quiet. We're here for so many wonderful reasons. And if you think about having what one irresponsible neighbor the havoc they can create by leaving their dogs out and barking all night, think about what 100 dogs can do. We may not be in A2, but my God, if it's happening, you know, as the crow flies 5 miles, I bet we can hear it. And so I just think that this is something that we need to figure out how to stop. And not just this, but what Joanne is getting to, this A2, and it's like whatever you can come here and do whatever you want. No, you know, we have a community standards, and LA cannot be just looking at us and saying, not understanding what we need done in our community. We need to be in control of that through this council and I don't know, through our community standards.
Well, I think the A2 zoning as it stands right now, and maybe Rosalind knows, but I believe, you know, kennels are allowed, but you have to have a conditional use permit. You have to have a hearing to actually, that I believe sets the number of animals you can have. You don't know.
You meant A1, you meant to say.
No, I think A2. I think
A2,
even though it is zoned for that,
oh yeah,
you still have to, you can't just buy a piece of A2 property, move your trailer on there and
yeah, you're right. You still are subject to all animal control laws, which include, you know, going through a process when you put kennels in and applying for a kennel license. You have to, in effect, apply for a kennel license.
Yeah, I think it's a kennel license. I don't think you need to do a CUP.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Mary, you do need to apply for a kennel license, right? But you can apply for it, right? If you're in A1 now, you need to first have a CUP before you can even apply for it. Once you have the CUP, then you're now seen as A2. You still need to go through, jump through all the loops that A2 needs.
But what my concern about this is that it's making it like automatic, kind of automatic, that, okay, it's A2, opens it for kennel, out of no discussion, let's just move on.
They're trying to put a number based on lot size.
Just automatic.
You know,
Yeah,
but
no
they're-
CUPs,
Right,
no
so I
talking
don't
to
understand,
neighbors.
like a 2.5 acre parcel is, there isn't an A2 piece of property that's less than that.
Exactly, we're all.
There isn't. That's.
Well, and if it's 2.5 acre lot, there may only be 1/4 of an acre that's usable on that 2.5 acres.
Yeah,
The
like
rest is vertical.
as soon as it goes up the mountain, you know?
And so
The rest is vertical.
Yeah.
Right on top, and we're close, you know, exactly. But that's the thing that concerns me about this, that it's gonna be an automatic, oh, I moved to Agua Dulce, I bought this, it's A2, here comes, you know, the 100 dogs. And what's it gonna do to our property values? Who's gonna wanna, you know, move into the community with dogs barking like that? Think about what the sheriff said. Hey, it's Sunday, somebody's bothering you, whether 10, 20 minutes of dirt bike riding or the music. What recourse are we going to have with somebody that has 100 dogs barking day and night?
I think their limitation is that it's got to be 50 feet away from a neighboring residence.
100 dogs at 50
50
feet?
feet from that wall to that wall.
Am I wrong on that?
No, you're right.
Oh yeah, that would take
So
care of
what
it.
do we do?
Okay, it's not less than 50 feet from any street or highway or any building used for human habitation.
Yeah, that was the same regulation they had when I was at Newhall.
Exactly, it's a regulation for urban.
Yeah.
Commercial, industrial. So anyways, just, what can we do to?
Well, I think we can write a letter. I mean, that's something where I don't know, we need to express our concern about having to define how the CSD does tie in with this requirement here. And I don't know what the safe number is. I mean, obviously, if someone buys a piece of property or has owned a piece, so here's the issue. Someone bought some A2 property 15 years ago, knowing they bought it strictly for the A2 zoning, wanting to move their kennel from the Silmar out here, and they've been trying to go through the county process for the last 15 years. Now they're ready to move out, and now they get shut down.
But things change poached on all the time. We're trying to find that with CMEX. They want to, mine, but there's now a community, and the community has changed. Like I said, we don't have, like Joanne said, we don't have hogs here anymore either,
But it's zoned where they could have.
They could have, but they're so ancient, the way they're treating us, it's as if it's the 1800s, and the stagecoach is still
next
going
to
through
this
here.
large urban center, LA, where, there's a lot of demand for things like this, and I think they use us to satisfy this demand for.
A dumping ground.
Yeah, for these things that, they can't handle themselves, but dog kennels are seen, even though they're seen as very lucrative businesses, and a lot of people get into them for a few years and they get out of them, and they have all the reasons why they weren't able to make money, but right now there's a craze about starting dog kennels because a lot of people go on vacation and they're spending almost as much money sporting the dogs as they are for their own hotel, So we have sufficient facilities in town. We have real, rescues like Jill Parner's, Second Chance Rescue. She's for real. And there's, she boards dogs very reasonably. There's Tina, there's probably 6 or 7 different dog boarding places that they're working just fine, it appears. But at the end of the day, if they go through with this, I think it's based on their own needs and their own agenda. It has nothing to do with what we want, and we have to oppose it with everything possible, But there's things like this that they're throwing at us, and there's other things going on too that are just as important as high-speed rail. For instance, they have this thing that Lillian did a great article on, the juniper mitigating process, where now if you have 5 acres, you want to cut down an acre of junipers and build your home there. They want you to set aside an acre, maybe 2 acres, depending on the density, and buy land from a land bank. Now that really affects our property values, and I think she did a great article, and the current resident has a case right now, Alan Laskovich, so I think it would be, there's a lot of things like this going on that are a big threat.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Requirements for new projects, Division 1, Chapter 22 is to be amended to add definitions, Part 23, planting requirements, to be added to establish new tree planting requirements that provide environmental benefits. This project has been determined to be categorically exempt, Class A. So this has to do with someone's property. So is this do we have to also start planting trees now?
You're talking about development?
Yes. It looks like they're taking away the drought tolerant, the green building stuff and making new rules. Repeal the drought tolerant landscaping and green building requirements. Okay, maybe just sections of that. And to establish new tree planting requirements that provide environmental benefits.
On what kind of projects?
For new projects.
What kind of projects?
Subdivision, site planning. It's new construction.
So subdivision.
It is either
Subdivisions in Title 22.
Okay.
and probably commercial also.
That's what I was
So that basically doesn't affect the existing building here.
going forward.
I built a barn and they made me plant trees. And then they said which trees I had to plant. And then of course they all died because it was in the desert.
Yeah.
They wouldn't approve it without the trees planted. So I think that does affect us.
Okay.
With a new building.
A new building.
Yeah, all new
Any new building.
They do that too, they call it field modification.
But it wasn't fuel modification, it's additional.
It's a part of your field modification process that make you plant certain trees, and maybe you did that back in '05. So they do that, yeah.
Okay.
If they're requiring it now, they're just changing the species of the tree. I don't see what we really need to comment.
I don't know.
Unless anybody here is.
Okay, anybody have a comment on that? Okay.
This is what our committee put together, just to show everybody what a prototype would look like if the train was coming through a certain area. So on this side, I put it here specifically, It shows the high school and the middle school. Well, that route has been removed, so this isn't very prevalent anymore, but.
It hasn't been removed, they just said that they're not looking at that anymore.
Yeah, they told us they removed that
They
route.
did? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
So
it.
that is this route.
Pardon?
That's the northerly, the northerly?
No, that's
This
No,
southerly.
this one, this one's still
That's
on
our
the
south.
table. And this one going through Angela's Forest, you can see it's got a couple of different, so there's two of them and one of the other guys over there.
Which one they removed?
The high school. The one right next to the high school, the junior high.
This would be the high school.
Pardon me?
This
I have 14. Going back 14.
This would be next to the high school.
No, that one's not. That's still on the books. There was another one, and there was one even northern there too. So it's still close to the high school, don't get me wrong, but it's not behind.
It's not right, yeah, right.
It's not 1,000 feet behind the new high school. I'm Pam Wolter, for those of you that don't know me. I'm the chairperson for the Acton Agua Dulce Coalition Against the High-Speed Rail, and I don't use coalition in there, but just so people know. We were blessed, if you can believe that, this last week. At 9 o'clock on Wednesday night, I got a text message from Genevieve, who is the lead PR person for Michelle Baum, who is the Southern California director. And we have been asking for about close to 2 years now to have the chairman, Dan Richard, and whoever else, the engineers, whoever we could get to come to Acton and Agua Dulce. We've always been told, yeah, it's on the schedule, but we got this phone text on Wednesday night and asked if the town council would be available for Friday morning. So we scrambled because we didn't know if we'd ever get another opportunity to talk face-to-face with Dan Richard. They came on, well, I should back up a little bit. On Thursday, then, we did a special meeting with our town council and the coalition, and they told us that we'd have an hour and a half for the tour, which obviously was not enough time. We couldn't get to Agua Dulce, and they told us they were coming up the 14, so therefore they would tour the part of Agua Dulce before they got to us. Yeah, I laughed
Maybe
too.
they're clear. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And so we Thursday night, Mike Hughes, myself, and Jackie Ayer mapped out a route so that we could actually drive it and see how far we would get in an hour and a half and what we'd be able to do. Where we started was Red Rover, which has got the huge viaduct, 60 feet in the air of dirt berm. We then proceeded up Sierra Highway so that they could see how many residential neighborhoods there are. Crown Valley, Forecast Homes, Santiago Estates, and we went all the way to the fire station and then went across to Angeles Forest, because on the map you'll see in the upper right-hand corner is where that's where the problem is. It comes out of the ground there and starts going down Angeles Forest. So we went to that spot, got them out of the car, and I should back up a little bit. We asked them to ride with us, and they agreed.
Cool.
So we had Mike as the driver, Jackie as the commentator, and the rest of us following, make sure they couldn't get out of the car.
Great.
I'm joking a little bit here, but I have to laugh about this once in a while, or I'm going to be
Yeah.
in a place where you guys won't know where to find me. We then went to Foreston and Rocky Ford, which is right next to the power plant, because it comes there too. Then we went back down Angeles Forest Highway so they could see how many ranches and horses, and if you go down Angeles Forest, there's a ton of ranches and horses very visible on that street. Took the back way all the way down Angeles Forest, all the way back through the forest to Aliso Canyon. We stopped at Ray and Elizabeth's place, Plum Ranch. And Ray showed them how it could go through and miss his water rights, because Ray has a tremendous amount of water rights there in that canyon. And then we took them back up to the library, which is where they met us, so they then saw Sterling Ridge and a lot of other places that are highly developed. The chairman was, I think, quite surprised at how developed Acton was, but yet how rural it was in certain areas. I was quite impressed with the fact, and so were the rest of us, the rest that were on the tour, that he actually took the time. He seemed like he was paying attention. You know how you can be talking to somebody and they're not really listening to you and whatever, but he was paying attention. And Sandy Madsen, bless her little heart, she got in his face before, as he was trying to leave, and closed his door and said, "You haven't seen Agua Dulce, you haven't seen Shambhala. There's so much more to see in our two communities. When are you coming back?" And he said, "You're right, I need to come back, and I need to bring some of the other board members." I don't know if this is going to happen, but we're shooting for it. We'll keep asking.
Good job. The fact that you got him out there.
That's why I said we were blessed. I feel like it was really a good thing.
And he's the head.
He's the chairman. Joe Morales is the CEO, but Dan Richard, we've never really had face-to-face with him before.
Good for you.
So we've had the engineers, we've had Michelle a lot.
He's the decision maker. That's who you want.
I'm sure, you know, I hope he got it, but we took off work, we did what we had to do, we said, hey, and his plane was an hour late getting into LA, so we were panicking, thinking when he gets here, he's going to tell us, oh, I've only got 15 minutes or something, instead of the hour and a half allocated, because he had another appointment in Burbank at 1:30. So we pushed it hard. So that's what we got done, and when they were leaving, Michelle gave us the map. So I have one large map that I'll go get printed, and I'll get one for your community. And somebody will have to be in charge of getting it around. And of course, I don't know who got cards in the mail or do you know anything about the June 6th meeting? Okay, I brought some flyers here tonight that I can pass out. We, of course, as the coalition, we will be going down to some of the other meetings. I'm definitely going to go to Santa Clarita, going to go to Palmdale, and probably the Foothill communities before they get to Acton. We are the last one. They say that everything is exactly the same, but I want to see how those other communities are reacting. And that's kind of how we've been following it then. June 9th, 3 days after our meeting in Acton, and it's Saturday morning, June 6th. So we did it that way so that our community could be there. And if you notice, in the past, when we've gotten Michelle, it's been on a Saturday morning. We've asked. We're a commuter community, so that's what we've got. Well, June 9th, 3 days later, the High-Speed Rail Authority is meeting for their board meeting in Los Angeles. We're working our best to get as many people from Acton. We have contacted Supervisor Antonivich's office to ask if we could get a bus, and Norm Hickling told us he was working on it for us.
Pam, is that the meeting where they're going to vote on this?
That's what we're afraid of.
Assessment?
Yeah. We're concerned.
Okay.
They could vote on it.
They could.
Right, because staff is going to give them recommendation.
That's correct.
Okay.
And we are all, what we want is 50 to 100 people to go down and talk. They'll give you 1 minute to 3 minutes is what they've given us in the past. And we can express our opinion. What he told Sandy was he wanted to bring other people, board members, to look at this before they voted. You know, whether that's reality,
So we can use that in our comment.
we could use
Okay,
that.
so June 9th, board meeting in Los Angeles, where is that?
Downtown, on 320 Temple. That's what they told us.
That's regional planning.
There must be something right, is there?
These,
320 is regional planning.
I know, but,
500 is, board of supervisors.
so it'd be at 500.
these routes that are underground,
Yes.
are they really gonna have a route from Burbank to Palmdale underground all the way?
Well, it's not all the way.
Well, most of them, I mean, there's.
Well, there's
about
21 miles.
21
miles right now, underground, and we're telling them they can go 37, because that's what it is in the Swiss Alps or whatever.
Exactly. Why don't they do underground completely through the communities like Agua?
Well, that's what
That's what we're trying to do.
What's the reason? What's the reasoning for going all the way underground the national forest, all the way through? If you look here, this whole section.
That's a proposed route. In other words, that they're trying to pick which one of these they want to do, and obviously going underground all the way to Palmdale would be
Because
the most
the
expensive.
national forest is not allowing them to go through there.
No, so they are,
No,
at this point,
it's
they
not.
are.
Why would this be underground then?
Because of the terrain.
Because of the
Okay.
and the national forest. They
I'm
want
sure the
to-
terrain's got a lot to do with it, the national forest, we still don't know, because of the monument that Obama signed last
We should
fall.
take this money and build this sanitation plants and.
Well, there's been
Address the
assembly bills before that have not made it out of committee. So 2 were just failed in committee.
Yeah.
AB 6 and I believe AB 1138, right?
No, 1138 has.
Look at that, Lillian. She's my legal counsel and.
Yes.
Please don't say that, that's
Okay, I didn't
not
say.
an accurate thing to say. 6 fails, we didn't get out of committee, and I think 1138 is still being considered. I haven't
Okay.
seen that it's been told yet. One of the other ones that was involved with went down.
Anyway, that's our plans.
Okay.
We're gonna really make sure that we get hundreds of people to the June 6th meeting. I'm working on my town. You guys gotta do yours.
Tim, can you
Yes.
clarify, please, about the, what happens at that board of, that authority board meeting? Because I think we have to understand that staff is supposed to be making recommendations as to which routes will be studied in the EIR.
Correct.
Not which route will be chosen
No.
on a permanent basis, and that really is a very important distinction.
Right.
So they're
Right.
just supposed to recommend which routes to study in the EIR, which is important.
But what I understand, because there's other routes, like up at the top by Angeles Forest where it comes out of the mountain. There's just, but they won't give us a definite, I mean, we just got this map Friday night.
Well, actually, the more routes that they have away from the 14 routes,
We've been asking them repeatedly to move it 1,000 feet east, farther into the Angeles Forest, which then avoids all of the houses and ranches on the top part of the Angeles Forest. If they could just move it, they won't give us a straight answer why they can't, but we're addressing that. We've done a declaration, and I didn't bring that tonight. The Acton Town Council has done a declaration that we're sending to them. And what else have we done, Lillian? You're my backup.
You raise money, talk to the Congress people and all the public representatives. And we've pretty much done everything that can be done at this point.
We've gone to see Steve Knight. We've talked to Steve personally. We've talked to Tom Lackey personally. We've talked to Scott Wilk. We have sent messages to Kevin McCarthy. We're And of course, Supervisor Antonovich is there. We continually talk to Norm about what we need. We have a monthly meeting. Our coalition has a monthly meeting. It's the second Monday of every month at the library in Acton from 6 to 7:30. And whenever something, we're having speakers, we have people come and try to help explain where we can go next with this overwhelming project. And I think I pretty well covered everything here tonight that I needed to. Like I said, I brought some of the schedules. Is there any questions from anybody?
You said the town council submitted a declaration?
The Acton Town Council did a declaration that they're sending to the High Speed Rail Authority. I haven't read it, I haven't seen it. Have you seen it, Lillian?
It wasn't, it was read at the last meeting, but it says essentially
Well,
the same thing as the mission statement that we published a while back.
if that's the final copy that Mike read, is that?
I was just wondering who would sign on to that.
I'll get that over
Right.
to you.
Yeah, can you give us a copy of it? Okay.
One comment, is a lot of people in Agua Dulce think that, oh, it's not coming through town, so it's not going to affect us. But it's actually above ground, it's actually above ground more. If they go the Agua Dulce,
It's that top route.
it'll be more above ground in Agua Dulce than it will be in Acton when it goes through Red Rover. And it's gonna be right up against the rocks, as the rock outcropping of Vasquez Rocks goes underneath 14 freeway and crops up there. It's gonna be like an amphitheater.
Yeah, because it's a tunnel.
It's tunnel, open, I think there's like.
It's gonna
Right,
be
it's
very,
a
very
tunnel
loud.
to Big Springs. And then
Yes.
from Big Springs to Agua Dulce Canyon, it's surface, elevated, surface, elevated, tunnel.
Okay, so that's about a mile and a half. It looks like, maybe 2 miles.
I think that's what Jackie said, that it's about 2 miles.
Yeah, of where it's gonna be like an echo chamber up against those rocks. So-
Everybody, you think the barking dogs?
Yeah, believe me.
You'll hear it right here.
This isn't 6:30 in the morning and 6:30 evening. This is every 6 minutes.
Well, and the construction of this thing is gonna be from 3 to 7 years.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to have a construction yard out there, there's going to be a concrete plant, there's going to be very large drilling equipment that are several stories tall. It's a mess. The dirt that comes out of there is going to be hauled. It's an overwhelming.
And it's not benefiting our community one iota,
Heck
and
no.
we're getting all the damage. That's the main point. It's like we're getting absolutely no assets out of it. You know, even if they take your property by eminent domain, yes, they will compensate you somewhat.
20 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, but if you're the neighbor, you don't get a nickel, you just get to listen to it and have the luxury of having devalued land.
For years now, people have been living with this.
So, you know, it's something where, I hate to say it, when we go to the meetings, it's 90% Acton and 10% Agua Dulce.
You guys got to get on board with
We'd love to
this.
have more people show up, donate, go to the meetings.
I don't think people really understand. I went to a homeowners association meeting tonight before I came here, and the president of that group in Acton told me that it wasn't going to happen in my lifetime. I said, am I dying tomorrow? Is there anything you know that I need to know? Because as far as I know, it's a coming.
Well, the construction may not happen for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, but once they draw the line,
Your
and the
property
line
is affected.
goes by your property,
That's it.
or across your property, or near your property,
know that.
or you see where this viaduct, and look at these pictures, these mounds, they didn't mention, at that last Saturday meeting, in their slideshow, they did not show us these dirt mounds, they showed these nice, pretty high, pylons that go up, that hold like a Disneyland monorail. Believe me, if they're doing
This
that
is
much
what it
tunneling,
is.
they're gonna wanna put the dirt somewhere. And what could be a more convenient place than putting the dirt right where they can build a viaduct that's 60 foot tall and 180 foot wide at the base? So it's
And they
not
don't have
pretty.
to transport the dirt away. which is a huge expense.
Yeah.
And the reason they're focusing so hard on us is because of the 12 or 14 lawsuits pending in the Central Valley. Those guys are fighting hard. They've spent, you know, over $500,000 to fight this. We don't have a lawsuit yet.
Right.
Because we don't have a route. We have this.
Yeah.
Okay, can I make a motion? I'd like to make a motion that the Agua Dulce Town Council send comments regarding the state Route 14. And ideally, we don't want that route.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to disappear, I'll be honest. I think that's going to be the route that they use. Because the forest is still a little iffy. So I want to comment on the Route 14 and wherever it's indicated elevated in surface section between Big Springs and Agua Dulce Canyon Road, that it needs to be tunneled. We need to put that in writing and let them know that this.
If anything goes, it needs to be done.
Exactly. But we haven't done it. So I think we need to take that step.
Okay.
Yeah, especially near Vasquez Rocks.
Yeah, that's.
But everybody needs it. I wonder why they never talked about just tunneling under the State Route 14. They already have the right of way and everything. Weird.
Too many trips. They have to take,
Yeah,
it
it's
takes
not
about 10
straight
miles
enough to
turn.
get the miles.
I mean,
The
240
speed,
miles an hour.
the miles per.
You've seen the map, right?
Oh, yes, this just came
Of
out.
course, I don't know if it's true, but that, the one
No, it
comment,
just came on Friday.
the one comment was, the one guy stood up and said, I don't know who's aware of it, but for the first 10 years, it's going to be running on diesel trains. It's not going to be high speed. Is that true?
As I understand it, that is part of the truth because they don't have the electrical power stations to be able to. So
when
they
this thing-
deny it when we ask them now, but 2 years ago, that was the story. So I would highly recommend that we send somebody down on June 9th from representing the Agua Dulce Town Council. We're going to do our best, and then I'll let you guys know if we get a bus, maybe we can swing in somewhere and pick up Agua Dulce, I don't know. All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anyone present regarding this before we vote?
Further discussion? I have nothing further to say.
Basically, for those that aren't aware, basically what this is saying is, if there's 3 people running for 3 empty seats, then they will be given those 3 seats without having an actual.
Because it doesn't.
That counts, doesn't it? Yeah.
Okay. So if there's no.
So you forego the election?
There's no need, right?
And the other item is.
3 volunteers for those.
The other item is, we're only going to have 1 polling place.
So that's coming up.
That's coming up. That's the next phase. So that's 2. Okay.
Yeah, the only other thing was the special election timeline has changed from 45 days to 120 days. So we are.
Everybody else aware of the changes? All right.
I move that we approve these proposed changes.
I second that.
I'll move second that, the ones that have worked
Right.
day and night towards achieving this. Any more discussion?
Get it done.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Okay, I have several neighbors, and we're here to ask help to deal with a person who lives on Barber that Sunday afternoons, pretty much every Sunday afternoon, is having a party with amplified music, speakers. It is so loud that when you're in your house with the door closed and even a Clippers game on, you can still hear the noise.
Has anybody asked him to quiet?
No one speaks English.
No, but,
You go over and say, can I speak to the owner? Can I, what? No one speaks English.
I know.
And all due respect, we've called the police. I mean, our gate, and it's not amplified music. These are bands. They're on a stage. They have,
So it's like a little Woodstock is what it's like.
it's a concert. It's like 100 people in the yard. It's a concert every Sunday, sometimes Saturday. is. The one Sunday was from 2 p.m. until after 11, because that's when we finally went to sleep.
Okay.
But it's a full-on business that they're running.
Okay,
It's not-
so what kind of celebration is it?
It's not, it's a concert. It's a 9-hour concert.
Isn't that a mayor?
Excuse me?
Wouldn't a mayor get involved?
Well,
Isn't this a
zoning
zoning
enforcement.
situation?
Yeah.
If it's a situation where someone is carrying on a practice that isn't allowed in that particular zoning, should he be involved? Because, I'll tell you what, the police can show up, they can arrest somebody, or they can warn them, or whatever they're gonna do, disperse the crowd. It's gonna come back. What
It's also never stopped. I mean, it's, we call it.
Right, right, what we're saying is, the police aren't gonna stop it from happening.
Right, but here's what will stop. Okay, this is how you find out who the owner is. Because if you call zoning enforcement
Right.
and complain to them, along with the sheriff's report that they can collect, they can notify the owner, the property owner, and give them 30 days to comply or whatever. And if they don't, it's $1,000 a day fine. So that usually.
Okay, but we've sort of gone down that road too. In fact, we tried to buy the place to get rid of them. Because this has been going on, this is not new, it's been years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the place was for sale for 1 day, and we actually offered the full price. We said, this is crazy, it's driving us crazy. They took it off the market when I did that, and now it says that it was transferred anonymously to someone. So there isn't even an owner listed. It's the weirdest. This is my sort of like first attempt at going this direction.
We got it.
Zoning enforcement.
Okay.
Yes.
But is that to Santa Clarita or LA County?
It's LA County. LA County. And incorporated LA.
Rosalind will be the one to
Give her a car and call, ask for Joanne. We need the address.
Thank you.
Okay, hey, we'll do everything we